And so when we have that kind of conversation, everybody agrees, oh my gosh, if you can use that data and add value in tax management, that's fantastic. And then the next question is, okay, so where does that data live in your organization? And, the eyes glaze and roll back. And most firms, have not really thought that through. They maybe have basic customer information in their CRM, but real detailed information that's actionable for investment management decision making, usually not. And so that's when we really have to kind of lean in and engineer whole new processes for collecting and maintaining that data.
I chose that clip for my conversation with Randy Bullard, Global Head of Wealth for Charles River Development, because it perfectly captures a problem we run into at almost every enterprise wealth management firm. Nobody has a complete picture of their data, which becomes a roadblock for anything you try to do, from enhanced reporting to analytics to new platform deployments. I spoke with Randy about how enhanced data strategies have become table stakes for wealth tech vendors, why Charles River built out their own data warehouse capabilities, and a whole lot more on this episode of the Wealth Tech Today podcast. Come on in, sit back and relax. You're listening to episode 133 of the Wealth Tech Today podcast. I'm your host, Craig Iskowitz, founder of Ezra Group Consulting, and this podcast features interviews, news, and analysis on the trends and best practices all around wealth management technology. Our theme for this month is organizing and managing client data, and our guests were selected to deliver best practices, lessons learned, tips and strategies to improve the use of client data in your organization. I'm really proud to announce that this month marks our 17th year in business. I founded Ezra Group in 2005 to deliver a range of consulting services to the wealth management industry. Since then, we've worked with hundreds of clients to help them shape their technology strategies, deploy and optimize new platforms, and understand the trends that are shaping our markets. I want to thank all of our clients, partners, consultants, employees, and friends who have helped us along the way to get where we are. If you are the CEO, CTO, COO, or other fintech executive with a software product that you're selling to broker-dealers, RIAs, asset managers, or other firms, don't walk to our website, EzraGroupLLC.com, and click the button to schedule a discovery session. Our wealth tech research team can deliver a wide range of market insights for your firm, including competitive analysis, addressable and obtainable market estimates, sales targeting, and insights on buying decisions, and more. Every vendor needs this data to be successful, especially when entering new markets. And you can get on the right track by going to EzraGroupLLC.com. Okay, a couple of housekeeping tasks before I forget. Be sure to subscribe to this show wherever you listen to podcasts so you don't miss future episodes. A quick shout out to our sponsor, the Invest in Others Foundation. You can find them at investinothers.org. And now let's get this episode started. Hey, I'm happy to introduce our next guest on the program. It is Randy Bullard, Global Head of Wealth for Charles River Development. Randy, welcome, man.
Thanks, Craig. How are you?
Randy, it's been good. I'm not complaining. Everything's all right. We're all happy. We're all healthy. We're still doing our thing, right?
Yeah, fantastic. Good to see you. It's been a while.
It has been a while. And you're one of the people I know, one of the oldest, not oldest people, but known you the oldest. Or the longest, right, in this industry. So it's been like since 2008.
No, it's been before that.
Yeah.
It's closer to probably 02, 03.
That's a long time, man. But things are changing. So we're trying to bring it to light and talk about it and share good stuff with our listeners here. So give us the 30-second overview of Charles River, if you will.
Sure. Charles River Development, kind of a long-standing, well-known kind of enterprise technology and service provider, primarily to the institutional asset management market. I run the wealth business, which represents about a fifth of the total Charles River business. Charles River was bought by State Street about 3.5 years ago. And then about a year after the firm bought Charles River, they organized the wealth industry vertical after State Street kind of looked at the business and came to the conclusion that the wealth business was really interesting, fast growing, and really needed some purposeful direction and product strategy. And so they carved it off, created a vertical around it, and brought me in to lead it about 2.5 years ago.
Yeah, time flies. 2.5 years you've been there.
I know. It's been fun. It's been a great ride.
Yeah, that's what's important, right? You got to be doing stuff you love, and I remember when they hired you, I was really impressed because I thought it was a great move on State Street's part, because you need someone like you with the connections, with the knowledge, and you've got the hours in your back from many years trying to build stuff that people said would never be built.
Yeah.
So this podcast is part of our series for managing and organizing client data. So we're going to talk about that, and we've got some really interesting topics I'm anxious to get to. So let's talk about how the industry has changed, things that you've seen around. Let's talk about table stakes. So can you kind of give us an overview of how you see things have changed in the wealth management platform business related to data? Sure.
It's an interesting topic. I mean, data is king. It has been for a long time, or really, since I've been in the industry. But when I think about data management in our industry, my head fills with buzzwords: data lakes, data marts, data warehouses, and APIs, open APIs, microservices, cloud-based architectures. All these buzzwords that are really anchored on access to data, sharing data, fluidity, easy movement of data. And really, these are table stakes. I run a software and services business, and I compete against other software and services companies. And if you open up the 3 or 4 first pages of my deck versus their deck, they're going to say a lot of those same things. And in the end, we're all trying to do the same things. We're trying to share the data that we have and manage and collect in our platform so that we can publish it out and give other systems and processes within our customer organizations access to that data. And then we're trying to get data. I'm an old school guy. I think about relational databases. I just need the table populated, please. Thank you very much. We were working on that back in the 1980s, and we're still working on it now. We're just doing it with different terms and different technologies, but we're really solving the same types of problems. It's just we've got a better way of doing it, a better mousetrap with a lot of the new technologies that we've got now.
Yeah, everyone's got that. Everyone's is hurtling so fast into the future. It's the rate of change is increasing, right? That things are changing faster. The tools are getting better. The stuff that we're working on with clients, they're able to build what might have taken 6 months to a year. They can build it in 2 or 3 months. The time is really compressed with different frameworks that you can just download stuff, and you've sort of got a whole architecture built. But so that's a good start for what we're talking about. So going from table stakes and how things are changing into your data services group. So you talked when we were prepping for the call about how that group has been growing so fast and they're inundated. Can you talk about what your data services group is? What do they do? How do they help your clients? And what type of requests are they getting from clients?
Yeah, we've got a couple of different kind of components of our data offering within Charles River. We've got a product called our Alpha Data Platform, and that is effectively our comprehensive data solution for those customers of ours that are looking for Charles River and State Street to provide a comprehensive data solution. And we've built that in partnership with Snowflake as kind of a core enabling technology. And we've integrated a large number of specific data sets into Snowflake so that we can readily get access to them. And in doing that, we've really decided to ride the rails of an industry leader, and it gives us an easy button for being able to get access to data. So when we go into a new customer situation, every firm either has a data platform or is looking for a data platform. And if we get into a customer situation and they're looking for a data platform and they view State Street and CRD as a primary provider, then very often we get pulled into that and provide kind of not just the core portfolio management and compliance and performance and all the other things that we're known for in the middle office, but also a complete data infrastructure that undergirds that. We have that now. We have a really strong capability with ADP. But for a lot of customers that that have that, they've got market, they've got whatever kind of data infrastructure, we can easily fit into that and effectively interface to that platform and pull whatever data we need to out of that platform into Charles River on a daily basis or even a real-time basis, or likewise publish data out of Charles River and into their data infrastructure. So that ADP tool gives us product gives us a really compelling capability to address the broad data access needs of a customer, and just it really outsources the problem by having a technology partner like that. Access to data, it's all it really is kind of the easy button. The protocols for publishing data into Snowflake and all the vendors that are pre-integrated and the open architecture that they employ really, as you were saying, it used to be that getting data was kind of point-to-point connections. Are you going to VPN that? You're going to lease line that? You're going to FTP that over? How's that going to come? What's the format going to be? All of those questions, the how and the format and all of that, they just disappeared. And now if that firm wants this firm to have data, they just click the publish and boom, it just happens. And that's an amazing service. And ADP is one, but there are other technologies now that do that. So that's the ADP product. We also have a data services organization, and these are related. The data services organization can operate there. Am I cutting you off? You were going to say something?
Oh, I was going to jump in. The ADP is the Alpha Data Platform.
Alpha Data Platform. So that is our offering that leverages Snowflake as the underlying technology.
Right. Which is a great product. A lot of our clients use it. Works on AWS or Azure, whatever you like. It's fully functional. People like the developers that talk to say it's really easy to use. But what I just wanted to talk about how old we are. When I was looking, we talk about ADP. I actually worked at the public company ADP when they were in the brokerage business before they spun off Broadridge as a separate entity. And I was going through old papers, and I found a list from our customer support center of all of our sites, of all of our client sites that all had direct channels, direct feeds, right? They had 56K lines to every single office. And I was like, don't touch these clients. Before you do, you've got to call the support center before you mess with any of these circuits, right? And there was hundreds of them listed, hundreds, right. Goldman and Lehman and Solomon, all these guys don't mess with their circuits. And now it's all in the cloud. Just go, boop, now I got a virtual machine, spin it up and go. Whereas before you got to order it 30 days, 60 days for an ISDN line. It's just amazing. So I just want to throw that out there. The ancient times. I'd like to take a break from this episode to talk about one of our sponsors, the Invest in Others Foundation. The Invest in Others Foundation is a charitable foundation that helps charities which are supported by financial advisors. So if you know a financial advisor that supports a charity, either in the US or abroad, you can submit his or her name to the Invest in Others Foundation to one of their programs, and they can be awarded money for their charity. The Invest in Others Foundation is running one of their programs right now called Grants for Good. The application deadline is next week, January 24th. So please submit your financial advisor, as you know, for this grant. I think they're awarding up to $100,000 in grants to a number of charities. So any person who works in the financial services ecosystem is eligible to apply on behalf of a nonprofit. Applications must be active, currently volunteering with the nonprofit, and you just fill out the form online, and you get a chance to get some money for these nonprofits. I've been honored to be a judge in some of these programs, and it's really tough. We have to look at 10 different charities and decide, and their advisors who help them, and decide which ones to get the money. It's really hard. So the more money that you donate to Invest in Others, the more of these grants we can give. It makes it easier for us to pick because we'll have more money to spread around. So please go to the Invest in Others Foundation, investinothers.org on the web. You can learn more about them. Thanks. So tell us more about the data services group and the kind of.
So the data services group. We work with a new customer. The customer says, I want access to ICE. I want access to Refinitiv. I want access to MSCI risk model data. I want, and we're open, to all of those. What we find though is very often they need that, but they also need a level of enrichment beyond that. And they also need someone to call when things go bump in the night. So they're not just looking for, raw data. They're looking for post-processed data. They're looking for enriched data, and they're looking for a service that wraps that to ensure data integrity and delivery. And you also find that a lot around, SEC master maintenance, corporate action processing, pricing data. There's just a lot of complexity in that, and a lot of opportunities to get it wrong, and a lot of opportunities for data feeds to happen, but the data in the feed is wrong. And so if you don't have a really good service that's watching that and managing it, things can go bad. And so we've got a lot of our customers where, they ask for, hey, I want my pricing data from ICE and blah, blah, blah. And then when we really get under it, they don't just want that. They want that, but they want it in this way that's very specific to them. And so that's what our data services group do. So when you take that data services capability and the services element, and you put it together with ADP as effectively an enabling technology platform, we really have a very robust offering to help our customers and partners figure out how to build out and manage.
So you've seen a lot of issues with clients not having their data organized. They say, you show them your product and you show them your platform, and the Charles River platform, you've got a lot of different components, and you built it up over many years, but it requires the client to really have their data organized. So what are some of the things you've seen when it comes to the data solutions and how they are what are they coming to you and asking for?
Yeah, probably the best, most current topical example that I'm dealing with on a daily basis right now is around our new tailored portfolio solutions product, and that's our new optimization-based portfolio management engine that delivers higher order portfolio customization through optimization for direct index portfolio management, tax optimization, custom ESG portfolio construction, risk transitions, tax transitions, all those custom types of mandates. And those are powerful features, and it's all over the press, and it's driving a lot of M&A activity. But all of those features are triggered by client-specific data that require client-specific data. And as we have kind of sales and partnership and development deployment dialogues with partners about tailored portfolio solutions, we inevitably end up having deep conversations about, okay, so you want us to do tax optimization. You can just push the button that says tax optimized, and that's going to give the same kind of tax optimization for everybody, which means it's only right for maybe half of them. So if you want to get it right for everybody, you need to know individual tax rates and external gains and losses and a tax budget and things like that that are very specific to the individual customer. And some of it's static, a lot of it's dynamic. And so when we have that kind of conversation, everybody agrees, oh my gosh, if you can use that data and add value in tax management, that's fantastic. And then the next question is, okay, so where does that data live in your organization? And the eyes glaze and roll back, and we've got 5,000 financial advisors, which means that information is stored in 5,000 different ways in various file folders on those FA desktops. And so that's the type of things that we have to unravel as we look to implement these more advanced feature sets that require data. How do you systematize the processes for collecting, maintaining that information, getting it into the process so that we can act on it? Most firms, have not really thought that through. They maybe have basic customer information in their CRM, but real detailed information that's actionable for investment management decision making, usually not. And so that's when we really have to kind of lean in and engineer whole new processes for collecting and maintaining that data.
Yeah, man, we're hearing the same thing. I mean, we built out some products on our consulting side for data assessment, because we hear this from other vendors we work with, that they say the same issue. They come in, they sell their platform, they get a deal, and they can't implement for 6 months because the data isn't there. It's not organized well, it's not managed well, it's overlapping, it's duplicative, or it's not available. So we're seeing exactly the same thing, and it requires a decent data requirements and a requirement gathering process, current state assessment, understand everything they're doing, where the data is located, how to optimize it, how to utilize it. They often have overlapping systems providing the same data that they didn't realize to downstream systems, and they can consolidate that from Charles River or from another vendor that's got the same feeds rather than bringing from multiple places. So that requires a process of digging through that and meeting with the people and finding out what's going on.
You remember the old industry construct of the unified managed household? You don't hear it talked about it as much anymore, but I mean, at the end of the day, a UMH is a data construct because no financial advisor typically has 100% of their client assets. There's always some assets somewhere else, and if you're really going to deliver a complete quality solution for a customer, you got to get information about those assets. And in fact, it needs to be investable, actionable information. So a lot of the kind of data ag providers maybe provide some good information, but is it good enough to actually make investment decisions based on? And so again, as we start to, as investor expectations around how personalized will my portfolio be and how will it act on information about me? Imagine a customer, does something in their self-directed account, they make a significant investment, and having a real-time data feed of that effectively influences directly in real time how the managed assets that the FA has control of are managed. That's a really interesting use case, and it's a very common use case. But engineering those data flows is still, even with modern kind of data architectures, really hard to do at scale and systematize well. I think we're just at the beginning of kind of how it is that a lot of this customer level data is shared without tripping over PII and data, InfoSec and a lot of those types of things.
I think your data warehouse, the Alpha Data platform, should be able to do something like this in the future, where it can bring in data aggregation information and then make decisions, feed it to a rules engine, feed it to some sort of AI-based machine learning system that says, when we see this in a client's held away account, then most likely 80% of the time or 57% of the time, it means something else is happening and you should do this, you should take this action.
Right. Yeah. Those are the exact types of use cases and scenarios we're looking to leverage ADP for.
Yeah. And one thing we're doing, and you mentioned data aggregation not being actionable. That's what we found for years and years, that the data that's coming in from the data aggregation vendors, and it's not their fault. They're just aggregating data that they're being given, but it's not actionable. You can't trade on it. Nobody would ever trade on that data. You can use it to give yourself an idea of what the client has in other places, but nobody trades on it. You report on it, but nobody actually takes action on it.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is a big difference. If it's going to be actionable, it's got to be reliable, accurate, and complete. And it's usually, historically, data aggregation has not been used for that purpose. I think we'll get there. And as you said, Alpha Data Platform will be our mechanism for ingesting that data and maintaining it.
And that's mainly a middle office. Is that mainly middle office data source? Or data?
It is, but it's not tied to that. I mean, Snowflake is not even an industry specific, so it's really kind of a generic data platform. But certainly, it can be the mechanism for maintaining, kind of price data, risk data, all the kind of top end information to support portfolio management and decision making. That's a primary function of our platform. And then it can also be used, and this is new, because normally custodial data feeds, which is a huge part of how our industry has to operate, is you always got to get a custodial data feed, you got to import it, you got to reconcile it, you got to make sure your pricing's right, and your set master's right, and your processing corporate actions right, and all that stuff. ADP can be a platform, and we're viewing it as a platform where we're going to build out kind of all of our custodial connections. And so effectively one pipe, one clearinghouse, where all of that data can come in, be cleansed, routed, and accessed by our customers.
As opposed to the old way where you built a separate feed manager for each custodian, and each one had its own, and you tweaked it every time. So right. As you built over the years, like you when you first started out in the wealth business back in 2008, Charles River started, then they built their first pipe to Pershing, I remember, right? Because I was consulting at Pershing at the time. So then they built that a certain way. Then when maybe they went to Fidelity next and they built it a different way. And so you've got all these different, so you're bringing them all in the same place, the same system, the same templates that just kind of tweak it for each one based on their file formats.
Yeah. And that's table stakes now. I mean, I'd like to say that's all really smart stuff that, you don't get awards for getting a custodial data integration into the accounting system. It's like just get it, make it right, make it bulletproof,
Right.
because it's foundational data.
You're not going to get a cookie for that.
No, not at all.
So, talking about some of the your other systems and platforms. So you've got your IBOR, your investment book of record. So you can talk about that, because that's a relatively new product, right? So you had a portfolio accounting engine, but then you built this IBOR, and
That's right. Yeah. So we started a journey about 5 years ago in partnership with two of our biggest wealth customers. They looked at the market of investment, portfolio accounting and investment book of record platforms, and wanted to get off of some of the legacy platforms, all of them out there in the space. And really, when we surveyed, and this happened well before I got to Charles River, surveyed the landscape and came to the conclusion that there really wasn't in the market a modern technology really accurate sleeve sub accounting investment book of record, and we felt the sleeve sub accounting for unified managed accounts was something that was largely added on to existing IBORs and with user defined fields and other things, and it was kind of jammed into a legacy portfolio accounting system. And so we kind of took a fresh clean approach, said looking at all of the industry best practice, because unified managed accounts kind of and how should sub accounting happen, and how do you delineate various responsibilities, and how do you manage cash and duplicate securities across sleeves, and all the minutia of the operations of a sleeve sub accounting UMA infrastructure. It's accounting's boring, but you got to get it right. So we basically started from scratch, line of code one. Let's write a fresh investment book of record that's anchored on sleeve sub accounting and does it accurately, foundationally. And so that's what the system is. It was built about 5 years ago. It's now operating at massive scale, hitting huge numbers. It's engineered for volumes. And it's kind of the foundation, because it's got the tax lot level data all the way, and it can be effectively a shadow book of record against any or multiple back-end custodial platforms. And so it really provides that unified, at least from a custodial data holdings view, that unified, robust sleeve sub accounting view that you can then make all kinds of really sophisticated investment decisions off of.
And you mentioned tax law data. We've had a number of other vendors talking about this on the podcast, and they all mention tax law data, that's the biggest bane of their existence. They're trying to get the tax law data right. Everyone thinks it's easy. It's not going to be a big deal. And then when they start bringing it in, it's a nightmare.
Yeah, I hear that. I mean, I've been dealing with every platform, everything I've done in the entire industry always has been tax lot level logic. And so to me, again, it's just table stakes. It is, dealing with the tax lots. You ultimately, which is going to be the official, view of tax lots. Is it what's in our IBOR, or is it what's reflected in the custodial platform? Usually that's it. So we have to ensure, just like we do with, holdings level, tax lot levels got to be reconciled. It's got to be clean. And so every one of our customers where we're maintaining tax lots, there's a real rigorous process, whether it's a wipe and load, or you're doing delta tax lots where you're just looking at the deltas every night. There's multiple ways to do it. But again, table stakes, man, you got to figure that out, because if you don't have good, accurate, actionable tax lot data, you're making the wrong investment decisions, and that's not good for anybody.
That's right. All right, Randy, I think you have said it all. You've covered everything we wanted to cover, and we are out of time. Tell everyone listening where they can find out more information about Charles River Development.
CRD.com. We'll be at the MMI Summit in the end of March. Really looking forward to COVID nonsense lifting, and we can all kind of get back out on the road and start to engage in some of the industry events that we've missed seeing each other at. So we're out there. Go to crd.com for information on our new TPS product. It's crd.com/TPS. And that's it.
Awesome. Randy, thanks so much for being here. Appreciate it, man.
Thank you, Craig.
See you soon. Hey, it's Craig again. And here are my top 3 takeaways from this episode. Number 1, wealth tech vendors have realized that having a comprehensive data strategy is now table stakes in the industry, which is why Charles River launched their Alpha data platform built on Snowflake. 2, if you're a broker-dealer evaluating technology platforms, make sure to check the vendor's data support team. It's more than just getting the raw data you need. It's the ability to enrich that data that's important to support your future needs, such as analytics and reporting down the line. Number 3, it's never too late to take a fresh approach to handling client data. CRD did this when they decided to build their own IBOR, or investment book of record, as a separate entity from their portfolio accounting. And now they have a unified infrastructure that provides everything from a shadow book of record against multiple custodians to a full UMA sleeve sub-accounting, all at scale. All right, you made it to the end of another episode of the Wealth Tech Today podcast. Let me thank our sponsor, the Invest in Others Foundation. You can find them at investinothers.org. And remember to please go to our website, EzraGroupLLC.com, and sign up for our newsletter. Each month, you'll get an email chock full of wealth management goodness, including news, analysis, trends, and more. I promise you won't be disappointed. All right, I'll talk to everyone again next time.